I think that the built environment and architecture kind of failed a lot of Black Americans who grew up in Black neighborhoods. If this is what your built environment is, there's no way that you can take a picture in front of your house and have kind of the proper representation of who you are.
Hi, my name is Demar Matthews, the founder and principal of OffTop Design Studio, based out of Los Angeles. Showing the built environment, predominantly Black neighborhoods through the lens of a Black designer, Black person who grew up in a Black neighborhood.
The pressure that gets put on you for thesis during architecture is like, this could be the work you worked on your whole life. And so I had this weight kind of on my shoulders, like, all right, I gotta find the right thing. I didn't want to just go into architecture and just take the standard route. I just wasn't interested in that. I started to think about where I saw myself after realizing that all the work I've been shown in architecture school up to that point, I never saw a precedent from a Black architect. I never saw architecture in a predominantly Black neighborhood. So I was questioning it. I was questioning what's Black architecture. Is that a thing? Like, is that established? It ended up sending me down this research hole that took me to the beginning of housing for African Americans once they reached the United States.
To start, I was looking back at what was the first houses for Black people once they arrived in America, really taking that and going all the way up until present day and looking at where Black people have been able to live, cities, neighborhoods, communities, how those come to be. You'll often see that they're hand-me-down housing, which started in slavery and still continues to this day.
Where I'll start you here, present day Black LA, which is South LA. Blue dots on the screen, that's the Black population. You'll notice once out of South LA right here, you don't really see any more blue dots. Once Black people leave South LA, majority are going at least 60 miles east or north, Inland Empire, Moreno Valley, specifically where I'm from, Palmdale, Lancaster area. 30 years ago, Watts was about 90% Black. But today it's less than 30% Black. If my family was there and today we're not there anymore, what brings me back? If there's not going to be as many Black people, if there's not established landmarks for you to go to, or there's a need for kind of cultural imprint on the built environment, stamp out this land. There's neighborhoods that are celebrating specific cultures with specific architectural styles everywhere. But that's not true in Black neighborhoods. Looking at housing for Black people once we arrive in America, you'll see the plantation owners with these beautiful homes, and then the slave quarters, these hand-me-down housing. A lot of them used to be used for like the horses and pigs and etc. And then they would somewhat clean it out and just have the slaves living in there. But this idea of hand-me-down housing is still very much effective and true in Black neighborhoods. Because you look at the image on the right, which is a housing project, which were also made for middle to lower middle income white Americans initially, and they were only meant to be a temporary structure. In a book titled Spatializing Blackness by Rashad Shabazz, he's speaking about the mental and social effects of living in Black neighborhoods and living in housing projects specifically. And in the book, he said, the children here are surrounded by wire mesh and fencing that makes their living environment resemble the catwalks of a prison. The abundance of security measures in these Black neighborhoods and housing projects specifically, such as policing, 24/7 video surveillance, perimeter patrols, apartment sweeps, the appearance made it seem as if they weren't supposed to escape. And when you look at things like this fence and the language that this fence is pointing in, it's as if it's keeping you in. This is a cage at this point. This is in addition to the bars at every window and every single door, in addition to kind of the older, decrepit building.
This exists today,
right?
In Los
Angeles. Exactly how it looks right now. Yeah. One, this isn't reflective of Black culture, and it's not. If architecture is supposed to be, it's meant to reflect the culture that's going to embrace it, be inside of it, or interact with it in general. And so, really, when you look at the Black neighborhoods in South LA, these are the common materials that you find. You find those same things that Rashad Shabazz is mentioning in the books. You see a lot of graffiti, a lot of bars, see a whole lot of cops. You see buildings are older, buildings are abandoned. The built environment is not a good state at all. Really, I started to look at how that affects perception, both self-perception and perception. As I'm looking at it, I think that the built environment kind of and architecture kind of failed a lot of Black Americans who grew up in Black neighborhoods. If this is what your built environment is, there's no way that you can take a picture in front of your house and have kind of the proper representation of who you are. But in an image, in a picture, the subject is heavily, there's a heavy impact. The background has a heavy impact on how you perceive the subject. We look at this picture, which is a beautiful picture. It looks like they're at an abandoned place or a prison. It's a beautiful picture. It's a beautiful picture. Kids are beautiful. The background still plays on how you perceive these kids. It's sad to think that, but as we're looking at it, it also has a deeper impact on what they feel for themselves or about themselves. If you grow up in a place that resembles prison, how likely are you to go to prison? Is that an easy transition for you to make if you're already growing up in a place that's similar to prison? And then you start to think, like, how much does the built environment impact a disproportionate number of African Americans and people of color in jail? Does the architecture have anything to do with that? You start to question things like that. And this is just another picture that's speaking to, one, the effect of the background on the subject of the picture. So this is a mom standing with her kid. When you look at the environment that surrounds her, look at the roof behind her, look at the trash that she's standing by. But then you look at where is this scene in Beverly Hills? It shouldn't just be about money to achieve a place of pride. I mean, the number going from 90% to 30%. Like, on one hand, it could be good if they're going to an environment that is now going to accurately represent them. But if they're going to just a built environment that's good, but they're now token in that area, if you still don't identify with the built environment, then it's still, you're only solving a bit of the problem. To address this fully, if people are leaving for that reason, because it feels like a prison here, or it's just not a good built environment here, it doesn't make you feel good to walk outside. How do we bring them back? We bring them back with this architecture, yeah. And me personally, right now, we've been looking for a apartment, right, for like a year. But I was really trying to go back into South LA. I'm in Koreatown right now. To look for any amenities, any building amenities, find one in South LA. It's how can we improve this neighborhood with our identity being at the core of this new development, or to have us come back, let's take pride in the community and build it up to where other people come in as well, because you have to have an economy to support a community.
The built world, looking the way it does, it has a negative impact.
Exactly. Everything that you do in the built environment is going to either have a good or bad impact. I think that we are still getting hand-me-downs in terms of design services and to build as many units as possible. And that's it.
Because what you're trying to do, instead of handing me down, is elevate a voice and kind of surpass sort of the traditional design that you're handed down. You're taking control of writing the script by elevating the voice.
That's the goal. Yeah, that's the goal. And hopefully, and of course, I don't want to be the only one writing. That's why I call it a Black aesthetic, because it's not the Black aesthetic.
Yeah.
There's a spectrum of Blackness, and this is sort of my shared experience.
Well, Demar, thank you so much for your time.
Oh man, no problem. And thank you